Hello everyone and welcome back to another album review, and in this video I'm going to review Underneath by Code Orange. In this whole genre of alternative metal and metalcore, Code Orange have managed in a very short period of time to make an exceptional and very well known name for themselves. The one thing that mainly makes them stand out is their fusion of industrial metal and lots of industrial and glitchy elements to their music, which is something that was apparent with their previous works I Am King and Forever, which are two fairly short albums years ago that I tried to give them a shot, but I never managed to show the appeal of them. Really, outside of some weird experimentations here and there, the whole rest of the sound would sound like just some generic metalcore or alternative metal music with not that much interesting to it. Like all of those experimental and glitchy industrial parts felt more like a pretentious attempt on putting something unique and different. All of those passages didn't really land that well. It's like with the weird and experimental approaches of liturgy that come from nowhere, but at least they're not that pretentious to make a different genre and label it as something superior. So obviously I didn't get into this album with high expectations, but the one thing that got me interested into listening to this album was that in programming it was Chris Vrenna, who was part of Nine Inch Nails years ago, and he has also done one of my favorite game soundtracks of all time with American McGee's Alice. And to my surprise, this album is really good. This is exactly what I wanted and what I would expect from a Code Orange album back when I got the hype with this band when they released Forever. I was worried about the quality of this album because this is easily their longest work, going for 47 minutes long, but in this runtime they have enough material that doesn't really bore me. Instead it managed to grab my attention and it was really well done. Unlike with the previous two albums, everything on Underneath makes sense. The way they have put the glitchy passages, the industrial elements, they have so much more focused and fleshed out sound, and the production on this thing is so pristine, it's so well developed. The production on this thing is very good. With the introduction alone, it just prepared you for a war of multiple industrial sounds, and then the second track comes swallowing the rabbit hole, and it is a very decent track. The one thing I liked about this track in particular is those moments where there is just complete silence for just milliseconds, but it's enough in order to confuse me. I thought that the track just buffered or it was just loading, but no, it was part of the song, and I like the way it was presented. I like all of those glitchy elements presented on this track. It was very good. But the huge highlights start with the track In Fear. I love the introduction, how it gets with those very heavy breakdown riffs, which are kind of generic for metalcore standards, but all of those glitchy moments just adding to this whole experience makes for a very solid track. And all of the rest, the way it is presented, the structure to this track, it is very good. Then the other amazing moment for me was the track You and You Alone. I like how it starts with those whispery vocals. They enhance the experience a lot, and when it comes, it has a very heavy and punching riff, and also there are some portions with a very insane ride that sounds really pristine and kind of experimental. After this point we get to the track Who I Am, which when it starts it threw me off a little bit because I heard those clean vocals and I was like, no, this is not the time to ruin it like this. After all of those great metalcore parts, I wasn't that much prepared for something with clean vocals going to the softer side of things. But to my surprise, even these kind of tracks work really well with the context of the album, and not only that, they're presented in a very good fashion with lots of different industrial passages and some very solid production. The chorus to Who I Am is actually one of the best and one of the most infectious ones. It is a very addictive track. Tracks that also go to this path are Sulfur Surrounding, which is a very decent and nice moment to the album, and then in the final portion with tracks like Autumn and Carbine, A Silver and Underneath. All of those tracks go to the softer side of things, but none of them really irritated me. They worked really well with the context of the album, and they were just decent moments that I quite enjoyed, and they didn't ruin the experience in this whole album. Of course, that doesn't mean that the album is flawless. There are some flawed moments that come even into some tracks that I like, but there are also some other moments with some very short tracks that I didn't get that much from them, with moments like Cold.Metal.Place and also Ensure Scan. Out of the shorter moments, the one that managed to grab my attention the most was the track Back Inside the Class. Very solid moment with some very pristine and nice production, and one of the most experimental moments out of this entire album. The other track that also managed to grab my attention a lot was the track The Easy Way, because this pretty much sounds like old school 9 Inch Nails. It's a very industrial-esque track, especially with the beginning, with this very nice beat to it, and just in the chorus and the other moments it just gets more heavy, having all of those metalcore elements, and it works very, very well. And also another solid moment is with the track Last Ones Left. Very, very good track. So in general, this album really impressed me. After what Code Orange presented with the previous two albums, I never expected I would like a project from them as much, but this is pretty much what I wanted from them. This is what I expected when I first got hyped about this band and what it presents with its sound, and I finally get it here with Underneath. Their most solid work to date. Very good riffs, solid breakdowns, the experimental portions make sense now, infectious melodies, sometimes being aggressive, other moments just more catchy, and easily their more focused and their more fleshed out project so far, with very pristine, clear and detailed production, making it one of the better albums I've heard in this genre so far, like all time, because I'm not a huge fan of old metal and metalcore, but this album truly shows what Code Orange is capable of and what the genre is capable of. All of those industrial moments really enhance the experience now, and despite some flaws in the track listing, this is a very solid album and a very pleasant surprise. I'm going to give Underneath a 7+ out of 10. What's your opinion on this album? Like it, dislike it, why, and what do you want me to review next time? Let me know down in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.